Wait in the wings. Wait in the wings. Wait in the wings.
Happy hurly burly evening, everybody. Welcome to State of the Wings 2025. It's been about 2 years since we've actually done one of these recaps. And if you follow us on Patreon or if you supported the Kickstarter this year, then you saw in my post today that usually I use those places as forums to write down everything that's going on in the world of Wait in the Wings. But in exciting news, there is just so much going on that there is no way I would have been able to to write everything that's going on. So I wanted to jump in here. It's been a while since we've done a stream. We haven't done one since Kickstarter, and it's also just a way to show you, hey, everybody, I'm still alive, and the channel is not dead. We are still around. I loved it that somebody commented on this. Please come back. And it's like, I'm sorry. I promise things are happening in the background, but let's take a look at the chat. We've got Jonathan here. We've got Amber here. We've got Michael, Mark, Angie. Great turnout. I'm so happy to have everybody here. It's very exciting. I've got a PowerPoint ready for tonight. I went in and I made a PowerPoint last night because I'm like, if we're doing this report, we're going to make it official. So if you're here and you haven't commented in the chat, head on over, say hi. I'm looking at the comments here. I saw Amber said that this music takes her back, and I completely agree. The Wait in the Wings theme is just so great. Amber also says so much is happening, and Amber would know because she is one of the $60 box seat patrons who have been with us through every decision, including one decision that we just made today that I think is really gonna do big things for an upcoming project that we're working on, which I'm not going to tell you about yet. That'll be coming up here in a second. But this is the general stream, just giving you basically an overview of everything that's going on. And then at 8:30, we'll be switching over to a Patreon exclusive stream where I'll be getting into more of the nitty gritty, and Lenny, the very problematic giraffe, might show up because the Patreon is the only people who really understand who Lenny is. So get ready. And Mel made it. That's great. Everybody's here. Everybody's saying spill the tea. All right, let's do this. So welcome to my PowerPoint. Here it is, everybody. State of the Wings 2025. I don't remember everything that I did on this because I made this. I finished it at like 1 in the morning, but I'm very excited to share it with you in this formal setting. Huff, huff, huff. Yes, yes. It's like corporate. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So let's take a look at the agenda. So again, for the general, I'm going to be giving you a recap of the past 4 months and everything that has been going on with Wait in the Wings. It's been wild. I think I can tell you this much, that it's the first time we've had 4 documentaries going on at the same time. It's funny, I was talking to Ron Russo, the lawyer for Rebecca, because we're still friends. And he said, how are things going? How are you? And I said, I'm so busy. I'm working on 4 documentaries, and I miss the days when it was just like Rebecca was it, and it was just one documentary. But just this past week alone has been incredible with the series of interviews I've had every day, where it's like 1 second you're talking about one very niche thing, and then the next you're talking about something completely different with a United States congressman. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming up, and I can't wait to share it all with you. And then when we jump over to the Patreon exclusive stream, that's where I'm going to give you some updates on the Patreon stats. And then we are going to get more in-depth on the current projects. And we'll have a little Q&A so you can ask me questions. And I'll be like, I don't know. Kate's here. Casey's here. Did you know there's a chess revival? It's not the Q&A section yet, Casey. But yeah, I guess supposedly there's a chess revival. We'll see. All right, so we're starting it off with our trendy screen that's got an interstate over here. So this is the recap. Bow, 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 bow. So let's start it by just giving you a quick little recap of the past 4 months, which have been absolutely wild. I was telling Juliana, my wife, how it just feels like the past year has flown by. And when I was going through my calendar last night, doing a recap of everything that has been going on, I understand why, because it's just been pedal to the metal. And while I'm conscious that you might not see that because you're only seeing what's posted on Instagram, or the Patreon members have a much better idea of how much has been going on because of the Discord and they get the updates. But for, general people, it's probably like, what are you doing? Like, where have you gone? And so here is it. This is where I've been. It started in June when I got a really great friendly message from I messaged my friend Matthew Patrick. You might know him as Matt Pat. I messaged him about uh, Boop because we've been friends before this. He said in one of the Gamer Theory lives that we're like Broadway besties, and that's still just like what's going on. But as one does, I messaged him after Boop.
Well, we could see Boop.
Happy I still have that on there because the lead character just really reminded me of Matt. And so I texted him about that, and he said, "That's so funny. Should I go see it? Also, would you like to join this Congressional Creator Caucus advocacy group? You would be one of 20 creators across YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok to go to Congress, spend the day meeting with congressional leaders, basically encouraging them to join this caucus." And what it was is it's basically a way for creators to have a voice in Washington. Because we've seen, especially over the past few years, and having done this 6 years, I'm able to see these things that some lawmakers make with the best of intentions, but they don't necessarily know how that's going to impact people and creators down the line. And the creator economy is slowly turning into one of the biggest economies in the world. And so this was just our way to get into the room and say, these are your constituents. You most likely have a creator in every one of your districts. Here's how we want to advocate for them. So that was the first thing that we did there. We spent the whole day going around meeting with different Congress people, talking about the mission, talking about Wait in the Wings. And it was just very gratifying that to be in that room with some very huge creators. Like Pokey was there, and she's got what, like 34 million followers on Twitch or something ridiculous like that. It might be 300. I don't know. She's one of the biggest streamers on Twitch. And to be in her group and Matt's group, and Jake from Vsauce was in there, and Melissa. There were so many people in that group. And yet it felt like anytime that we brought up Wait in the Wings to the Congress people, they always stopped and said, "That's amazing. That's very fascinating." And they always wanted to learn more about it because it's just this niche thing. Theater preservation is not something that you necessarily think about as important. But really, it was just gratifying that it didn't take that much for them to realize, oh wow, that's actually important work that you're doing. So that was that day. I don't remember how many people we actually got to join the caucus that day. I know that in our group we were batting 100, and especially after Matt and Steph left to go get ready for the press conference, then it was kind of like all of us got the chance to give the pitch on our own. And man, were we firing on all cylinders at the end with one of the Congress representatives from California. And it was just one of the times where we left and we were like, whoa, we killed that. And so, there's so much going on in the world, and this is just a great way to have our voice in there. This was, getting people interested in joining the caucus. So now as it goes on, there will be more projects. And I know for me personally, a big driving mission for me is making sure that we're preserving history and that we're telling the full story, and that, we're not overlooking tough conversations and tough realities just because it makes people uncomfortable. That's always been the thing of the channel is, yes, we talk about Broadway flops. We talk about on paper failures, but that is so important because that's the only way that we can learn and that we can move forward. So that's going to be really my driving mantra. The more that we go in this is fighting for freedom of speech and independence of thought. But it's just great to have that incredible opportunity. And while we were there, of course, we pitched the chess documentary that we had coming out, and they were all very excited about that. A couple of them tuned in and watched it. And we had that premiere, I think it was like a week after we were in DC, because this DC trip just popped up out of nowhere. It was literally 1 week from getting asked to us actually going to DC and advocating. So then after that, we jumped right into the chess documentary, which I'm so proud of how that came out. It was only like 30 seconds shorter or 30 seconds away from breaking our record for the longest documentary. But I'm so grateful for all the help that I had on that and how it actually came out to be. Drop some comments if you liked it, if what your thoughts were on it. I know that it's always gratifying when you're doing like Broadway Flea or something in person and people come up and say, I watched the chess documentary. It was amazing. Because it's just one of those things where that was a very big risk to tell the story of, because it's this 40-year-old flop that everybody knows of chess. They know One Night in Bangkok, but nobody really knows chess. And so the chance to dive into that, but not only the show, also the legacy of Michael Bennett, the very tough juggling act of morals involving the AIDS epidemic and the New York Times with Jeremy Gerard. We got to interview Michael Riedel for that one, which was amazing. And we got one of my favorite stories of Yes Chess, which is just, that goes right up there with Think Greece. I know that that's a big joke in the Patreon and the Discord chat that we've got is that, and Trevor is pleased. But let's see. So then everyone over here is saying, Kate said my community Discord was losing their minds when someone posted that photo of Matt Pat's speech and I pointed you out in the back. Yeah. They were like, hey, we need you to get out there. And I'm like, right now? Okay. All right. Colby says, Brendan hasn't even acknowledged my presence after shouting out the rest of the chat individually. Hi, Colby. You said you were here, but you weren't technically here. You said you were present, but it was a facade. So there you go. Everybody's saying chairs. Also looking forward to seeing One Night in Bangkok next week. That is wild that the chess revival is next week. And yes, I will be attending with a couple members from the Patreon, and then that will be an exclusive review video on the Patreon. So you can join there for $5 if you want to. Patreon.com/WITW, and you get the access to that review. Because that was another thing that we've been juggling for a long time, is how do we juggle our responsibility as historians, but then also how do we talk about some of the current things? Because for some reason you like my opinion on stuff, but I don't feel comfortable giving that on the YouTube channel anymore. It's just not who we are, and it doesn't align with the content. So a great way to do that is over on the Patreon. I think it's a little bit more personal that way because I know you all over there so well. So that's what we're going to start doing, is we'll do more in-depth reviews over there. We've already done some. I did a review of Diana. I did a review of Phantoms. Here Lies Love. So yeah, so that's great. But then speaking about that, going back to our mission, then we had Docs to the Future launched, I think either the week of or like a couple days after the chess documentary. So after DC, we went up to New York and then we filmed the post video like that day. I remember I was writing the script for it on my notebook in the airport, getting ready to fly to DC. And then I like typed it all out in the hotel room the night before we went in to meet with the Congress people. So then after that, we came back to New York City, filmed a launch video, came back, got everything finalized with that, and we launched. And in an incredible turnout, you all helped us raise $34,509, which is a new record, and it has already really paid off. And your money has been so helpful in getting us going on probably the most intense lineup of documentaries in recent history, like since probably 2020, when I was doing these docs every month. Granted, they were shorter, so these are a little bit longer, but we're looking to get back on those shorter intervals, and we've got a lot of stuff going on. So thank you again for that. We also, I think I might talk about this in the Patreon thing later, but I'll just mention it here. that this was when we soft launched the nonprofit, the 501c3 nonprofit Friends of Weight in the Wings. And there we did kind of a beta fundraiser that we didn't promote anywhere. It was just friends and family. It was peer to peer. So that one I wasn't posting anywhere. It was just kind of seeing like, can this work? How would a fundraiser like this work in the future? And through that one alone, we were able to raise almost $13,000. So it was 34,000 plus 13. Whoever wants to do the math in the chat, that's that. Chocolates and Pasta says hi, and says hello, and I say hi. Chocolates and Pasta. So that's great. We've got a lot of the people in the chat, including Colby, who's here. They are a part of the committees over there, which we'll talk about them a little bit later on as we go on. But a big perk of being a $60 patron is that if you were in the New York City area, you got invited to attend the exclusive YouTube Warriors event with Lin-Manuel Miranda and Issa Davis. It was another whirlwind thing that just kind of happened because I was in the city with my mom, and it finally felt like things were slowing down. And we were on the subway going back to the hotel before she flew out. And I said, well, things are finally slowing down, but knowing me, we'll probably get a request to go to like a YouTube creator creator event. And sure enough, right after I said that, I looked at my phone and I got this invite to go to the Warriors listening party. And of course, I RSVP'd. I got a +1. And instead of taking Juliana, because she couldn't make it because of work, I think is what it was at first, I invited Howard Ho because it's Lin-Manuel Miranda. And Howard is a fantastic YouTuber. He's like the YouTuber on Lin-Manuel Miranda. So I brought Howard as my +1 and I signed up for it. And sure enough, like a week later, because I was just going as a friend, like a week later, somebody from the YouTube team messaged me and said, hey, would you like to host this? And I just remember looking at my computer and saying, well, that sucks. That sucks so much, as I was typing out, yes, I would be honored. So that was a whirlwind night. I've never hosted a YouTuber creator event, but man, was it so much fun. There's no more terrifying feeling than standing with a whiskey sour in your hand and somebody tapping you on the shoulder and saying, hi, Brendan, I'm Chris, and I'm Lin-Manuel Miranda's like PR person or something like that. He'd like to say hi. And what do you say to that? What do you say to that? Because, you know, if you've been on the Patreon, you know that I've got this horrible history with Lin-Manuel Miranda where every time I was in the drama bookshop writing, without a fail, I tried writing there 4 times, and every time I had to leave because Lin was there. And it was always just one of those things where it was like we looked at each other, and it's like it felt like we knew each other or of each other, but neither of us wanted to say anything. And it happened one day where I was standing by the notebooks, and then Lin's son, and sure enough, Lin come and stand right next to me, and he's like right here. And it's like, what do you do? What do you do in that situation? And so Juliana came up to me and was standing there, and I needed to get out of the situation. So in front of the notebooks, I said, I should have brought my notebook. And then I started to walk away from the notebooks, and Juliana's like, where are you going? The notebooks are right here. And I was like, no, it's fine. It's fine. And then we started walking away. So fast forward to this creator event, and me and Lin shake hands. He says, Wait in the Wings, I'm such a huge fan of your videos. I've been watching them since your Tick Tick Boom video. And that was, 4 years ago? So that's a nightmare. Because what does that mean? That means every time that I was sitting in the drama bookshop and I thought, do we know each other? Does he watch the channel? Do we say anything? This is awkward. It means that he knew. So that was great. Meeting Issa Davis was fantastic. She was one of the nicest people I've ever met. And it was just so fun to be there with so many of my creator friends because ever since we started this, I have always gone by the philosophy of a rising tide lifts all boats. And I know that this is something that has come up at a couple of Broadway cons where people ask like, how do you feel about the influencers and other YouTubers and TikTokers and all this stuff? Like, how do you feel about that? Is there any competition? Like, I know when I was doing Rebecca, there was someone else doing a Rebecca video, and it's like, how do you feel about that person doing a Rebecca video? And it's like, honestly, I don't care, because the more theater content there is and the more people we get into this, the better it is for all of us. So with this YouTube event, I was grateful because I got onto the list because of Matt Pat. And so then this was just so fun because it was my chance to be like, okay, the door's open, hurry, everybody, get in. And it was also a great way to hang out with the box seat patrons. So that was the Warriors event. Disney Dan showed up. He wore he wore the chicken costume from Moana. And, you know, I got to give an introduction to Lin-Manuel Miranda and Issa Davis and introduce Warriors. And man, you got to see how much of a white Canadian I was, because there were so many rap names and I destroyed all of them. Let's hear it for RZA, said Lin-Manuel Miranda. So then after that happened, then in July, we also got reached out to from Nicole, who was with Broadway World. And it turns out that Nicole with Broadway World has been watching the channel for a while. And she was basically upfront and she said, I think you're doing great stuff. I think this is an important mission and we'd love to help get the word out. So in a very exciting announcement that I'm making here that I don't think we've really made public anywhere else, this is a new collaboration that we have going on with Broadway World, where they're going to get exclusive access to early tidbits of the documentaries. And then when it comes out, we'll do more collaboration posts. We already did kind of a trial run with the Broadway History Harvest, which we'll talk about on the next slide. But already it's just been such a wonderful partnership. They've been so wonderful to work with. And I'm excited to see where this goes from here. All right. They say now would be a good time to insert ads. Forget you. John says, are they going to be grid posts? Yes, some of them will be. Some of them will be stories. But yes, because we'll be collaborating with them. All right, next up. We've got the past 4 months, and we're in August and September. So this is where it's all this work that has been piling up for the past, like, 3 years. It all came to a head here. So after August, when we had all of the funds from the Kickstarter and Production Palooza, which I saw somebody up here, I wanted to give you your due. GJ Goijman, I hope I said that right. I got to get new prescriptions. Said $47.5 thousand raised. That's amazing. So with all of that in the bank, then it's like, well, let's get to work, because you all voiced confidence in us and in preserving these stories. And so I greenlit not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 documentaries. And the way it happened is absolutely awful. So here's how it went. It started out, and this was going on while we were still in the last few weeks of the Kickstarter. And I was like, okay, we're going to do the Spider-Man documentary. We're going to talk about the technical side of Spider-Man, because that was a project funded by last year's Kickstarter. So I was like, okay, we're going to finally get rolling on this because it's the last one that we really need. So I reached out to a couple of people. We really wanted to get in touch with Eiko Ishioka's either family, people who had worked with her, all that. So we reached out to everybody. We had this huge contact hunt. And we reached out to a ton of people, and nobody was getting back to us. It was about 2 weeks. Kickstarter ended, and we had nobody. And I thought, okay, well, that's concerning. Okay, what if instead of that, what if we greenlit Allegiance? Because I know that was another one that people in the comments were very excited about. So how about we greenlight Allegiance? And then from that, nothing came back. So another like 3 weeks passed. It's like, okay, well, we got to get something rolling here. How about, okay, Wicked's coming out in November. What if we just did like a palate cleanser video that was a history of the like defying gravity from Wicked? So I reached out there. And again, nothing back. And then I thought, okay, well, last ditch effort. We can do the five theaters, the destruction of the 5 theaters, and the construction of the Marriott Marquis. So I reached out to Broadway by Ghostlight, Mark Bonani, and nothing back. But then finally, Mark got back to me. He said, yes, that's something I'd love to do. And I was like, okay, that's what we're rolling on. So we okayed Mark's video on the 5 theaters. Then the next week, I get an email back from the assistant of Eiko Ishioka for the Spider-Man doc. And then I also get in touch with Eiko's widow, who has like all of these photos and knows where the rights to this stuff is. And he says, this sounds great. I'm in. So now we have 2 docs going. And then I get an email back from Stafford Arima, the director of Allegiance, who says, let's do it. Let's make the best documentary ever. So I'm like, all right. We've got 3 documentaries going. That seems like that's a lot, but I'm sure we can handle it. At least nothing happened with Wicked. And then the next week, we get a message from Ed Pierce, the associate designer of Wicked, and he says, "This sounds great. I'm in." And so that's where we're at now with the 4 projects. And that was the green light of those. And then also while all those interviews were getting set up, which I'm just realizing that really the summer's a bad time to book interviews because everyone's on vacation. So because as soon as fall started and the vacation was over, everybody got back to us, which is incredible. And I can't wait to dive more into that at 8:30, which, oh my God, we don't have a lot of time. So then while that was going, we packed and fulfilled all of the tangible Kickstarter rewards. So those are all out. I'm very excited with how the packing went this year. It was the fastest we've ever done it. Shout out to Kate, Kate Cast Reviews, for coming up to Albany and helping us pack those up. Proud member of the Patreon, and we got those all out. We got to do tracking numbers, which was very exciting. And then our committees, the nonprofit committees, have launched a video resource guide on our website, waitinthewings.org. So I highly encourage you to head over there, check it out, and kind of go through. We have all these categories that you can see that help you kind of piece together like where you want to go on your journey. So that was an amazing thing. And then, of course, we held the first ever Broadway History Harvest in New York City a couple weeks ago. I don't know what we were expecting to get, but it wasn't anything that I could have expected. We got Carol Channing's eyelash case that was stolen in Italy, but then it was recovered, and now this guy had it. So that was incredible. You can see the post on our Instagram. And then finally, a couple weeks ago, I went to the Heart Mountain internment camp in Wyoming for some of the research that we're doing for Allegiance, which again, we'll dive into. And so here's everything we've done since chess. We might hit it right at it. We've conducted 21 interviews and already have gathered 24 hours of story. To put that into perspective, the total for 2024 was 32 interviews and 31 hours. And that's like going on Kickstarter. Like basically the year for me starts at the Kickstarter. So the fact that we're already at 21 interviews and we're only like in half the time, we've almost completely passed what it was for 2024 is incredible. And they're amazing stories that run the gamut that, again, we'll talk about on the Patreon stream. We've archived and digitized over 70 pieces of Broadway memorabilia across 45 different shows, plus 13 different show-stopping icons. That was thanks in large part to the History Harvest. I personally have read over 2,000 pages worth of books and documents. I would show them to you right now, but the camera is set up on them, and they've just ranged. It's been so much research, but I'm very excited because all the stories are starting to come together. We've gathered nearly 10 hours of documentary B-roll, and that includes my visit to Heart Mountain. I saw Wicked, and I got some stuff there, and then we've got some more Wicked B-roll coming up next week. We've unearthed thousands of never-before-seen photos and stories, which, again, this is something that I'm really going to dive into on the Patreon stream, because this happened just yesterday. I finally had my pre-interview with Mary from Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. and she has thousands of never before seen photos from them creating the costumes. We were on the call for about an hour 30 and we barely skimmed the surface. She said she kept everything because she knew that it would be important and that she would need to share it someday. So we've got a lot of great stuff from that, including something I didn't know existed, which was Alan Cumming in the Green Goblin costume, which I did not know that footage even existed. I didn't know that he actually wore the costume. So again, that's something that we'll dive into later. And then in an amazing news, Ride the Cyclone, our new documentary, it broke into the top 11 for most popular videos channel wide. It's almost at 300,000, which is incredible. All right, and then I talked a little bit about the current projects that we've got going on and that we're going to talk about as we jump over to the Patreon stream. If you haven't joined, you can join for as low as $3 and you get access to this stream, patreon.com/WITW. So first up, we've got the wicked lore of the Time Dragon. Then we've got the death of the 5 theaters. Then we've got making the Spider-Man fly. Next, we've got Broadway and Barbed Wire, the story of allegiance. And that's it. Those are the projects that we've got rolling right now. So again, you can join us on Patreon as we dive into these projects more in depth. We'll have a Q&A session over there. I want to thank you all so much for being here and supporting it. I know this was so rapid fire, but you know, I had to get all the information out there. We'll do a little recap when we go over to the Patreon, but there's no real hard cutoff time. So we'll really be able to talk about more in depth what's been going on. But as you can tell, it has been a lot. And it would not be possible without you, without your support, both financially and just morally. And so thank you all so much for being here. And hopefully we'll see a bunch of you over on the Patreon. And if you are already a member of the Patreon, head over there to the homepage. I'll also share it in the Discord that we've got, and you can get to the link that way. So again, thank you so much, and we'll see you in a second.